So this is the most dangerous thing that founders can do that kill their business. And that thing is run out of cash flow. So if inconsistent cash flow and up and down months, it's got you second guessing like every decision that you make. I've been there recently, repeatedly, many times. And so I made this video for you. So in my experience, here is kind of what my life's been like. I did build $1 million online education business, but it still didn't feel steady and safe. That sucks. Even when we hit like a top month of 100K. So we had revenue, but we didn't understand how to keep and grow cash flow. The months were volatile, up and down. It was never predictable, and we didn't understand why it happened or didn't. So this business, it was all revenue, but it was no profits. So my business partners wanted out. Dream crushed. So then rebuilt myself in December of 2023 with no savings because, smart people, right? But under real financial pressure, guessing wasn't an option. Like I had to pay rent, I had to pay for my dog food. So I launched my own ads in the kind of lowest risk way I could think of. And I ended up making $7,500 that month. And I was like, okay, that's good. And then I booked $15,000 for the January. Now, my mistake. I did not collect on that $15K, but that's a mistake and a regret for a different day. But I still did very well that month. Now, since then, I've had hundreds of real conversations with founders of all different kinds of industries. I've been involving myself into tech. My history is in the beauty industry, but I'm also online education and information and knowledge base. But I'm trying to involve myself with a lot of founders and builders and tech people because through talking to like 100 of them, it turns out that most of us are perpetually in survival mode. So no, it's not just you. And yes, this is normal. So personally, now my philosophy and what I do is I reject overhauls. So that's a really big thing that I do is I don't want to do an overhaul or an entirely new direction, no new strategy, no new plans. So if I'm not doing anything new, what am I doing to protect cash flow? So don't take this as a lazy way because I did the 12-hour a day, 7 days a week thing for 2 years, but I basically reject anything that adds more work to my plate and costs me both internal and external safety. I really need to protect my emotional bandwidth and want freedom over my time. I want freedom. That's why we built business. So that's a non-negotiable. And so out of this, I've built, for personal reasons, systemized cash flow systems specifically for founders in survival mode, which turns out to be a lot of us, but sheerly out of necessity, not because I had this theoretical vision. It's been through like testing, repeating, and fortunately I've had wonderful people to test this with. 500 async, 100 with some sort of synchronous, and 40 more one-on-one. And then I did like a year-long experiment with about 10 people to see what would happen over time. So as I come to this year of the year-long experiment, pursuing my quest of what does it take to make cash flow predictable and consistent and grow. But I just want to kind of normalize like how we all feel. So I get this regularly. So I have people saying like, these are real quotes, and also kind of a meta of what this video is about. These are real quotes. I'm still stressed at the start of every month, even when I'm fully booked out. That's weird. It's not weird. It's normal. I'm just saying that it's paradoxical. I'm so overwhelmed that I don't know what to do and things just feel heavy. So people feel paralyzed or overwhelmed, or we get that anxiety spike, spirals, all that stuff. I've had it too. Yay. Other people say, and I've actually heard this, this one like a couple times this week alone. I feel like I'm working so hard just to tread water, meaning like they're drowning, they're efforting all over the place, but they're still just like barely making ends meet. There's cash flow, but it's not safe and predictable. They don't get why it's happening enough to grow it. Other people say, I don't know what to focus on first. And part of that is because other people say, well, I keep hearing different like opinions and options, and I just don't know who to trust. I think there's a lack of understanding. Not anyone's fault. And that's what this problem solves, is the lack of understanding, or this video. So we can consume lots of information. And in fact, that actually overwhelms me. I had that happen this week. I took in so much information, had so many options, and I didn't know what to do. And I had to come back down to the point of this video. So I also want to let you know that it's very normal, and it's nothing to do with a lack of motivation, even though cash flow problems can cause a lack of motivation, which sucks. And it's not for a lack of effort. Sometimes doing nothing is actually the best thing. So this can happen I think, and everything's my point of view, when you're making decisions without certainty. But the problem is we can never be 100% certain that a decision is going to pan out. That sucks. So most founders, I've learned, they ebb and flow from feast to famine, from flood to drought. And the feeling of this anxiety and this overwhelming survival mode feeling that either is always there or it goes away and it comes back. The kind of moral of the story in a book I'm reading from a guy that built $1 billion company is actually his phrasing is, you need to be chief survival officer. And I like that phrase. So that's kind of aligned with this. Because sometimes everything on paper, it looks fine. Like we had 100K months, built $1 million company. I didn't feel so good because I didn't know how it was happening. I had some ideas, but they weren't certain. So how do we fix that? I've worked with founders that have gone through like booms in their industry, myself included, plateaus in the industry, and then also contraction cycles, meaning like the demand seems to be decreasing, but in reality, it could be decreasing. Maybe there's more competitors, supply exceeds demand. There's reasons. I'm not going to go into that right now. I have another video on why the permanent makeup industry is slowing down because of market evolution. But I've also seen just that same cash flow instability pattern, not just repeat for myself, but repeat across like many businesses. Like I've talked to people that were doing like 100K year in 2021 and they're not changed anything. And now all of a sudden they're about to close their doors. So that's a problem. So here is what I think is actually going on. This is the point. Decisions are being made with either guessed information, like hypotheses, or partial information. And everything needs to start with a guess, but this video is about why we don't stop there. The markets that we're in and the combined with the tech that's coming out, they're changing faster than ever before. Like I heard this LinkedIn phrase or quote, guy from LinkedIn, he said by 2030, which is not that far away, the jobs that we have now, 70% of the skill set will be different. That is the fastest it's ever changed, like fastest ever. So there's tactics and strategies, but very, very soon and very, very quickly, they're rapidly going to outdate themselves no matter how good they are for the time. That happened to me this year. I had a great strategy. It worked like gold. I loved it. And then from June to December, across different markets, it started to break down. We didn't do anything different. That was the thing. So that's another reason why I'm making this video. So right now, with everything moving so fast, it's going to be really hard to keep up if you just stick with one strategy. So strategies, they will expire quicker than you expect. Like agency strategies, just a lot of strategies or whatever was working and it isn't anymore. That's also normal right now. But the problem is that we don't know why it's not working anymore and we don't know what to do instead. And I think actually the most important thing to solve is what to do instead. I think spending time on why is it doesn't matter right now because we can go forward without it. So why this all breaks the cash flow, meaning like not just revenue, but profits. Like you're only as rich as the money you get to keep. Like if you make $100,000, but you don't get to keep any of it, that's a fun story. And I built a lot of skills, but that it kind of sucked to not have profits for 3 years. So guessing. We guess because it feels fast. We have a gut feeling and that's good. I'm not against gut feelings, but I'll clarify later. Gut feelings and guessing, it feels fast, but it can be expensive and it's risky. Wrong decisions, those can cost more than making no decision. That's why I said sometimes doing nothing is the best thing you can do. Effort can go up, like we're trying to do everything we can, and certainty goes down because all the things that we're doing aren't moving the needle on cash flow. So we keep getting more and more discouraged and more burnt out. And then we don't want to try anything new, or we don't want to go back to something that actually was working. And we just needed to kind of change it a little bit. And also something, I can speak from experience, like I get this like really strong feeling that something can feel right. But what I've learned is sometimes that something that feels like 100% right can actually be 100% wrong. And I'm not doing that to discourage like your inspirational flow. It's just there's an intermediary step before taking action. And that's what this video is. It's the step before we act. That's what this video is. So another kind of phenomenon is we naturally overestimate how quickly something will work. I started a tech company myself after working in one, and I had bought a chatbot before. I didn't like the experience, so I was like, I can build my own. So I started a tech company. I invested $2,000 and I built a chatbot. And after 2 months, I pulled the plug because I thought it was going to take me like a month to get it right. And very quickly, I realized it was going to be an entirely new business. I was going to have tech support, a tech team, and optimizing the chatbot. I was only doing it with like 5 people. For me, I got a 30% booking rate, but there were still issues with it and it went very awry very quickly. So yeah, I overestimated how quickly that would work. And then we also have a tendency to be overconfident. I'm not against being confident, but we can be overconfident when we're feeling that inspired. I personally have bipolar, so I get hypomanic episodes. That's when I have increased confidence and creative ideas rushing and flowing, and it usually lasts for like 3 days, followed by a nice unfortunate crash. But I've gone through that cycle a lot. And so I can speak from very confident experience that I can be overconfident when inspired or get that aha moment. And then I take action too quickly, which can work out, but it is risky. There's a smaller, easier move we can make. And that's what this video is about. So I've had to rebuild under real financial pressure when guessing was not an option. And for me, here is the point of this video and where we're about to go next. Decision making and making safe decisions to protect, stabilize, and grow cash flow, whether you've just started, whether you're 10 years in, no matter where you're at, it comes from insight, not outsourcing, and it's not delegating. There's a different word for it. Abdicating, meaning give it away, take it off my plate. I don't want to deal with it anymore. That kind of stuff. We can get really tired, and I get why we feel that way. But outsourcing is not going to fix it. And tactics are not going to fix it because we said the market's going to change and it's going to be outdated. And then you're also relying on, if you're outsourcing, for them to keep up with what's happening right now. And right now, no one can predict where the world is going. So I'm not even going to go there. So now you cannot eliminate completely uncertainty, but you can reduce the danger around you. Let me kind of get that home. Safer decisions and better gut-based decisions, it helps with gut-based too, they come from insights. So how I would define insight in plain language. It sounds simple and you might already have certain types of insights. There's a particular type of insight that I'm going to talk about. So by insight, I don't mean like a guess or an opinion of like, oh, I got ghosted 1 million times today. It must be my photography. That's not an insight. I sent out 1,000 emails. I only got 2 replies. It must be the leads. Like that's a guess and an opinion. It's not an insight. So what I mean is not just noticing, but tracking and extracting for realsies, the same thing showing up again and again and again. And in my context, I'm taking it from real conversations with real customers. Conversations, not like how fast do they reply? What time of day did they reply? When are they online? Those are all like quantifiable metrics. I don't even look at that. I find this is way more outsized in terms of the return on investment I get and way easier to track, like way, way, way easier. So, but it's not obvious to our naked eyes what actually matters because we're so entrenched in the business as well as feeling all these overwhelmed feelings that it's hard to pay attention. So I'll go over my system that I made for myself out of survival necessity when my brain broke this year. So now some surface level examples of insights that I would mean is like from words is if 5 people ask the same question before buying, that is an insight. If most people stop replying to the same kind of message or wording in the DMs, that's an insight. If the same kind of objection or fear or uncertainty shows up on calls over and over again, that's an insight. So it's nothing about like being smart or anything. It's about paying attention to what's already happening. However, I'm super stressed out and trying to focus on actually running the business. Like I can't also pay attention at the same time. Plus, here, listen to these different examples. We can go deeper. Those are surface level. Deeper level examples. I'm going to say that you can find micro moment predictors in literally the words that go back and forth between you and your customers, wherever it is. I'll tell you my strategy at the end and how I get this really, really, really fast cash flow that people ask me about. So technical phrasing of a micro moment predictor. technical phrasing. So it's recognizing the decision readiness of a human by interpreting subtle, emotional, and behavioral micro signals through their choice and order and quantity of words. Very complex description. AKA, very small signals, tiny, missable, in real conversations that tells you when someone is close to saying, yes, I will buy, or no, I will not buy. Here's my real examples. This was cool. See, this made it reinforcing for me because I was like, wow, that's insightful. So here's my real examples of deeper insights that predict buying behavior for my business. Your business is a special snowflake. We're all special snowflakes. Everybody's insights are different. So these are going to steady and grow cash flow. So in my conversations, when the person I'm talking to, they stop talking to someone that they view as a marketer or like a consultant or business or coach or any of those words that I don't like to be grouped in, and they start talking to me as a human, that's one predictor of they're about to buy. They also reveal a part that they were embarrassed to say. I would have never observed that. They shift from external blame, blaming circumstances, something external, to internal responsibility. And then they test me with a small truth question. I can't make this up. So this is a micro commitment where they reveal, I'm deciding if I want to lean on you. So those are some wild, those are just 4. And what I do with those is I improve my systems that are not automations. I'll go into that in order to create the flywheel effect. So the more insights I get, then the more I can improve my systems, which then the more yeses I get and the more cash flow. But I got to start getting the conversations first is the problem. And so if you haven't started yet, I have a solution for that. And you might already have a lot of conversations. So you are sitting on a gold mine of information. And I used to work at a market research company. So insight as a whole, it's just pattern spotting patterns. So you stop guessing when you're trying to decide what to do today. I don't plan. I decide every day what I'm going to do that day. So I don't even have to worry about the future. I just decide on that day based on what the insights are and what's around me and what the context is. And I make a decision. So I make a small, safer move. So that way I can protect and stabilize and grow my cash flow. So why insights really matter is because with no info, every single move you make is a risk, no matter how big or small. With messy info, some info, the decisions get less wrong, but they're not wrong. It's still risky. But with patterns over a long time horizon, and even it doesn't even have to take that long. When I run my system, I can get really good insights probably within 2 weeks that start to create the flywheel effect, which is fantastic. So, but with the patterns, then when you're deciding what to do or where do I go or what do I do, panic drops and your effort goes down. That's good. Cash flow steadies and then it becomes more predictable. Once it becomes predictable, you can just crank up the dial and make it grow. So we can't grow unless we make it predictable first. Well, we can. I'm just not a fan of that way. So now the thing is, insights, they're not automatic if you're not used to looking for them. And honestly, I wouldn't even spend my energy looking for them. I just know now what insights I'm looking for, and I can use my AI tools and my apps and stuff and plugins that I made for myself. I'll go into it later in order to pull them very easily and implement them. So I never in a million years, those micro moments of predicting buying behavior, I never would have seen those or guessed those or on my own, but damn, am I glad I have them because it made amazing improvements to a lot of things that I'm going to get into later, which gave me more cash flow. And most founders, including myself, I don't know by looking at it what's useful or not. I know looking at it what some stuff I can use, but those deeper things, we can't, it's very difficult to detect. And you don't need an agency or a firm. We all have ChatGPT. The only tool I use is ChatGPT. I don't buy all of these apps that exist. I just make my own in ChatGPT because you can do that, which is kind of cool. But you do need a simple loop, a regular thing that you do in order to capture and use them. That creates the flywheel effect. So that way it keeps working for you. So I am specifically going to say I'm not even using any automations right now because I'm not going to touch those in this video at all because I think that we need the clarity first. AI one limitation and constraint is it lacks good judgment. So that's why, like, when you correct ChatGPT and it's like, oh my gosh, of course, you're right, Melissa. I can't believe I missed that. Like, it can sound 100% right and be 1,000% wrong. So it lacks the judgment. So to me, my point of view, take it or leave it, it takes first your human judgment and depth and deep understanding that you naturally have about your business, because you are like on the ground closest to it with the deepest knowledge, for you to decide what insights matter and for you to practice using insights to decide which ones are important before you automate or even use a chatbot or use a voice agent, my point of view. Because only once you do that can you see what's actually helpful and usable, because there's probably infinite insights to pull. There's no lack of insights existing. The problem is deciding and practicing and testing which ones are useful and which ones do increase cash flow, because you could pull insights in, it could do nothing, it could make stuff worse. I've had that happen too, but I can pivot back and reset and go back to what's working. Once you actually figure out that problem and you get the perfect combination and the recipe from the stardust and infinite pieces of insights, and you have the right formula combination, you've made that KFC secret recipe that's just your own for your special snowflake business, that's when it makes sense to speed it up with automation for those cash flow things, not like task things. I'm talking about cash flow things. So why I had to build it my own way. So my brain broke this year. I had to survival mode the crap out of this year. There were probably 3 major life events that happened all at once, and then another big one very recently, like a month and a half ago. And so I had to go from survival to like making very clear rules. It's like I was in this like little constrained box. Like if I could do anything, it's like I could do nothing now, but business had to keep going and cash flows had to keep coming in. So like I couldn't make a decision. So I designed like my system for myself, which is just a ChatGPT plugin that I made for myself, to make my decisions for me on my best day in a certain way, with my certain formula, with my special snowflake of designed of insights for me, personalized, because I can't make decisions, or couldn't. And every decision felt heavy because risk was so real. Like I ran out of savings twice this year because life lifed on me and panic came. And honestly, like I tried so hard. I put in effort, but I didn't trust like my next move. And I'm like, I don't have enough energy to build the way I did and do like the 12-hour days. I'm like, I was so tired. Like I was just so tired. I couldn't. So I had to find it more efficient. So the other problem was like, not only was it not like financially feasible, but I didn't necessarily, it's not that I don't trust agencies. It's just, I don't like not understanding and giving away like control and the power to something else, especially if I don't understand what it is that they're doing. I've worked with lots of agencies and you kind of be like, you pay them like $3,000 a month to work on your SEO and you don't get any momentum, and they understand why, but you don't understand why. And now I understand SEO takes a long time, but at the time we were like, well, why aren't we making money from this? We're paying you $3,000 a month. So we did it for 10 months and then killed it. That's still $30,000 for just the start of SEO. And honestly, like, because I've seen so many chatbots, even recently, like seeing the chatbots, the problem with chatbots is, at least my understanding of what they can do right now, is they can't read the entire context of the situation, and they don't have enough context to pull on, even with like the knowledge bases that you update them with and like the steps and how it actually looks in the back end and stuff. It's just, people have detected the pattern of automation and they really don't like it when they hit it, especially in mature markets. Maybe in like an easier market with a newer service that's in like a growth phase, it can work in automation because it's like so in demand. But in more mature markets, with more mature services, like I don't love the chatbot because it also kills your insights is the other thing, because I want to see patterns before I scale or before I delegate to somebody else. I want to know how it's done and how to do it so I can direct and delegate, not abdicate and hand it off and not understand what they're doing and just sink a bunch of money and hope and pray. So doing what works today over and over again without updating your insight knowledge bank and using it is how founders, you will lose faster than they expect. Like this year, I worked with somebody and I worked with 10 people very intimately. We did the same thing for so long and kept optimizing and optimizing. And then it started to break down with that particular system when we did nothing different because we didn't update it with the insights. This is kind of why, like a kind of a leading thing to why I started to use this. Because market shifts from like summer to the end of summer, the clients that I was working with, their market completely shifted. Competitors have emerged, and then strategies that were working aren't working anymore for various reasons. And I'm not going to go into why, because you can repeat the same thing. I'm not against like doing the same thing every day. That's literally what I do every day, but it's tweaked every day with an insight. So it's the same thing, but upgraded or tested. Because blind repetition is the risk, like doing the same thing without updating the knowledge base or your knowledge. That is risky, not safety. So when I launch like a test, I'm never certain it's going to work out. Like the problem is you can never be certain, but I can be certain of my inputs, and I can be certain that I'm adding to the predictability and adding to the certainty, never to be 100%. But I just try to be less blind. So I do insight first, gather those, update and improve my systems to offload my work because my brain broke, but not the other way around. I'm not going to make like a full system and a full automation and like a full template out of the box, like funnel, like you might think, like landing page, email sequence, SMS, blasts, and all that stuff. I don't like doing that because it can be so much simpler and way less expensive with way better insights. So I'm not a fan of long funnels as a first move. There's too much uncertainty. We're guessing too much. So how I actually create insights. So this is what I actually do. It's my simplest cash flow system. And when I go to these like builder clubs and around founders and stuff, their number one issue is like getting leads and cash flow. And I was like, interesting. That's the kind of what I've spent like my last like 2 years trying to predictably get. And now I've just kind of updated my system a little bit so it becomes more agile now that tech is just rapidly skyrocketing all the industries forward in a weird way that we can never predict. So here's how it works. I need to get signals fast from my market about what's working. So I need to get repeatable signals, like a signal feedback loop. So how do I get that? I run ads, meta ads, specifically Facebook ads, only $5 a day. I don't spend more on the first launch in a majority of cases. I like to do it a certain way. So my lead cost is ideally $1. So that way for $5 a day, I got 150 leads a month. That's a lot of data points and signals. Or 4. It depends on what kind of offer I'm running. I'm okay with 4 as well because I like depth of conversation as opposed to like burning through a bunch of leads on repeat. So my goal is what is the fastest path to making $1 today? And if that's not possible, what is the fastest path to make it easier to make $1 tomorrow? That is the reason why I run my ads to the DMs, not funnels. Why? Because talking to somebody is the fastest path to cash flow. Humans buy from humans. When all on the outside, every competitor looks the same, and logically, the benefits and features and the trade-offs and all that stuff, like you can take makeup and skincare and all this stuff, everything looks the same. What changes? The feelings we feel. Who influences the feelings we feel? Talking to a human. That's the fastest way. So it's not only the fastest path to making the cash flow, but it also the DMs, running as the DMs, it gives me verbatim language about what the market is saying about a variety of different things that I'll go into in a sec. And it removes my assumptions. So it removes my guesswork completely. I no longer have to guess, and I can capture this really easily because you can just copy and paste DM threads to a document and I know what insights I'm looking for, or I can hypothesize and ask and go deeper, like what insights are going to help me make more cash flow. Like there's very easy ways you can do this without automation and fancy tools. Like literally just ChatGPT is all I use because a lot of my clients don't own a computer and aren't techie. That's my clients. So I have to meet them where they're at. I love tech and stuff, but it's like, okay, that's an interesting constraint. So if we can't buy any new tech tools, it can't be complicated. It can't be anything new. What do? Well, how do we unlock and like optimize ChatGPT to the best? And so now I make like app and layers, intelligence layers, neural networks for ChatGPT, which is kind of like a growing thing. So I'm learning. I thought I was like first. I'm not. That was disappointing. That's okay. Ego burned. That's okay. So here is some proof that this works. I'm just saying this to like ground this in reality, not flex. This is not a guarantee. But with those $5 a day, me, clients, whoever, 53 clients in 90 days. Another one, 6,000 in 3 weeks at $10 a day. Oh, that one was me. Yeah, I spent $253 and I made $6,000 in 3 weeks. I spent $10 a day because I was already on my like 8th test or something of that. So I cranked it up once I figured out that the right ad and then got that. $45,000 in 6 months. That was a client. $25,000 in 5 months. That was a client. And then anywhere from like 1,000 to 4,000 in 7 to 30 days was like an average I was hitting this year. So no promises, no guarantees that this insight thing and iteration is working. I'm just saying this is a piece of it. This is a piece. But the problem with this issue, there is a real problem. DMs are high effort, man, mentally draining. And 90% of the time you get rejected and ghosted. And then they can feel intrusive on your day if they're not managed, if it's unmanaged. And there's a way that you can batch them and still get really high results. One company said that on average, people get like 100 notifications a day. So their goal was to like do like so many notifications a day that of course they can't miss them, but that's like intrusive and annoying and crazy. So I do it a bit different. So I didn't actually switch the strategy. I didn't move away from DMs and try to automate or anything. I actually just made a shift. So I stayed with the same strategy, but I pursued the question, which I like to shorten to the quest. I pursue the quest, not the shortcut. Here's the quest. My philosophical quest. What does it take to reduce the effort and reduce the risk and make it easier to make $1 today or tomorrow? That question is kind of like my filter. Like that is like where the pursuit is going, because your ChatGPT, your AI, your decision making can go anywhere. And it's kind of like a company has a mission statement. It's like I have my own personal North Star. And it's like, how do I not take on more work, protect my emotional well-being, protect my time, make more money, work less, and make it more predictable and not hire any employees. And I tell this to like founders at like other events and they're like, well, yeah, of course that's the dream. I'm like, well, yeah, like shoot for the moon, land amongst the stars. Like I might not make $1 billion, but like, I think I could have a pretty good life. I'm not trying to be like VC growth or anything, but I think a principle wise, that question, like that pursuit, the quest is what changed everything for me. And why I don't automate first. Chatbots will 100% offload your DM effort. Yay. However, they increase risk really early. Leads can be expensive too. Like if you get $5 leads and chatbots are just crushing and killing them because they're robotic and all that stuff, like that can kill cash flow for one. And it cuts off the cheapest, fastest insight stream because chatbots don't talk the way that I talk to my leads, because the DMs is where I get the best, cheapest insights that I can use to stabilize and grow my cash flow. So what the DMs actually give me, like this is the gold. So from DMs and call transcripts, like DMs meaning leads, call transcripts being clients or leads too. I can get exact pain in their words. Don't underestimate in their words. You can get, of course, the pain points from ChatGPT. Those are guesses. We start with guesses, but then remove the guesses and replace with real phrases and real words. The more human language you can give to ChatGPT that's real, then the more real things will be. If you give it like just the short bullet of the pain instead of like the real rich phrase, that's what I mean by like the micro predictors of the choice of words in a certain order and the amount. It sounds so simple, but ChatGPT is an AI and generative, it's a prediction tool. So the more context you can give it, the better. The way that a sentence is phrased is way more contextual than if you just kind of say, my client's having a problem with this. Like, no. Like you're underestimating the power of the real DM words. And so my goal in the DMs is how do I get them to open up more? Talk to me more. Talk. My goal is to have longer conversations, not get them on a call as fast as I can. So when people bring them into the DMs and they're like, hi, I'm interested, tell me more. And we're like, hello, would you like to hop on a consult call? You have no idea what that lead is about. Oh my gosh, wouldn't your consult call go so much better if you knew like so much about them and you prepared a very specific call script for that lead and you knew what their objections were in advance and you knew already what the micro moments were? Like that's what I'm talking about. Yes, it's more manual, but we can make it more efficient. So from the DMs and calls, I also get what they've tried before. So that way I'm not suggesting the same thing or bothering them being like, have you tried this? And they're like, well, yeah, I hated that. Or you can figure out what they've tried, and even if it's the same product as yours, what didn't they like about that product? Because maybe that's your differentiating factor. But you can find that out in the DM before the call. And it also builds trust. You can also find out what didn't work, what they wanted instead, the objections that they have before the calls. Yay, your salespeople will be so happy. And if you're the salespeople and you don't like sales, it will make you happier. You will also find out who is not your ideal client, and you'll be able to prejudge them beforehand. So you'll actually build like an ICP, ideal client profile, and you have multiple of them. So who is not your client? Because you might not want to work with certain people, and you will learn who those are in the DMs. So the thing is, most founders who are active already, they already have this in emails and texts and transcripts. They can be better and enhanced to allow the lead to open up more. One note, the phrase, these leads are bad. You don't know how to talk to a human. If you get 100 leads and all of them are bad, nope. I purposely run the cheapest, dirtiest, like lowest quality leads. Like even if I get rejected 90 times, I'd rather have volume so I can have all of this rich insight. Like imagine the no's as like still market research gold. As someone who's worked at a market research company and they drop hundreds of thousands of dollars on stuff like that. So you already have this, but you're just not using them, or you're not using the right parts, or you're not asking the right questions, or you're not implementing them and testing the insights. We also have to implement the insights too, not just get them and think about them. So how I use them immediately, no new tools, nothing except for ChatGPT and my Google Docs. Like it's super simple. One insight at a time. So if I get like a phrase, like a DM, that will be like, and I got like a bunch a day, I'll pick one and I'll make an Instagram story using the content kind of story app that I made. So that way, boom, boom, in like 2 steps, I have a perfect script, ultra tailored to my person and my ICP, understanding the micro moments of what predicts the buying behavior so I can bake that into the story. But all of this in a magical snap of my fingers, not because I could do that on day one, but because this was a process of gathering insights and refining and testing, gathering insights, refining and testing. So one insight at a time. I can also make much better like follow-ups. People underestimate the power of follow-ups or don't do them because we don't want to be intrusive and stuff, but we can make really good non-salesy follow-ups. And then I also update my like ChatGPT apps that I made. And I'm not talking about like the GBT chats and stuff. You can make actual like mini apps specific to your business. And it takes like a lot of trial and error. Like maybe making like one app for me, for my ChatGPT, could take like 2 to 3 hours. But once I have it once and it's good, then it makes like my processes and the effort really low, but the volume of content or the volume of DMs or the ease of which I can do something is way, way, way faster and is way, way, way better at getting revenue. But this is all a manual process. It's supervised machine learning, not automated machine learning, because you need to be the judgment person, is my point of view. It can also tighten up your call flow and like your closing segments and also tweak your offer. So this is no new software. I don't even want to pay for Zapier, and there's no agencies involved. This is all within your business already. And the agencies won't even use this either. Like agencies won't be as effective as you with $5 a day ads after month 1, after month 2, after month 3, if you just have a very easy process to lighten your mental load, make everything better. Sorry, I could rant on that. So why this matters. So here's an example. So my mom had a health issue. This was very recently. And with my leads, I had about 60 of them on the go. And I went dark for a week, like ghosted. No stories, no nothing. So fortunately, I had all these like DM insights and stuff. So my process, very simple. So, okay, I need to do a follow-up. I think about the user experience. So I think about, all right, if I send a DM, what shows in their inbox? Well, there's my little profile. Guess what? If there's a little pink ring because I posted a story, I can probably hypothesize that before they open the message, because they'll get guilt if they open and do the scene and then they know that I've seen it. And then they're like, ooh, I didn't reply. Then they're going to not reply to me in the future because they're going to have this guilt and stuff built up. Or they're going to be like, oh, this annoying girl. Instead, they're going to maybe hypothesize, be curious, and click on the story circle. Now that story circle is very specific to what I just said with the story script. So it's not that I'm doing a ton of stuff. I'm doing $5 a day ads, DMs, and Instagram stories. This is not the only way you can do it, but I would call this a funnel. It's a 3-step funnel. There's an entry point and a conversation point and a warm-up point. That's it. I don't even post on the feed, because if you post a story and they watch like 5 tiles and each tile is like 60 seconds and like maybe you have a little snippet, that's like way more watch time than one reel. And like also your warmest leads in the DMs, when they watch your story and then they'll reply to you, I'll get to the point, but when they reply to you in the DMs, then your story circle is more likely to come up, and you're also the first thing that they see when they open the app. So you see how I'm thinking about the entire like minute granular experience, and I'm just really dialing in on it with the insights. So that way I'm not working more. But anyways, so what happened is I posted that story strategically, and I followed up with 60 leads that I hadn't spoken to in a week, that a lot of them had ghosted me. And within 24 hours, I had 12 of them that replied to me. I actually sent those follow-ups at 10 p.m. at night. I had 4 people reply right away at 10. So I kept talking to them. So conversations restarted. I booked calls from leads that I hadn't messaged in a week, that I hadn't nurtured, because I did the right things from the insights with the lowest lift. It took me all about like 30 minutes to like activate no, I'm not going to lie. It took me an hour to like write and post the story, because it takes time to film, and do all the follow-ups of 60 people, because it was the same thing over and over again, just a really good follow-up, and then they watch the story. Haha. So no new ad spend. I actually had my ads off. I wasn't spending any money, but that's the flywheel, and I re-engaged those people. So why this reduces risk? I'm going to tie this back. I'm not guessing on what to post. I'm not going from my head. I'm not kind of feeling it out and doing what I feel that day. I don't even have to think about it. I can just look at a DM conversation and be like, that's what I'm going to do today. I can put more thought into it, but that's like basically it. I'm not guessing, and I'm also not guessing what objections exist. I'm collecting them, and I'm starting to get counter points. I don't want to say it's difficult. I always want someone to self-identify and choose of their own agency, but sometimes there's some perspective shifts that have to be conveyed. And if they agree, then they move closer to buying. And if they don't agree, then we're not aligned. So at least we find out. That's kind of what I mean by overcoming objections. But every single move I make is based on observed patterns, because I don't want to have to work that hard anymore as someone who's been in business since 2013 and done the real big hustle. Like, oh, can I go on a build phase? Yes. Oh, have I been working on content for like 8 hours now? Yes. But I get to choose that. It's not forced upon me. And I actually have a really good starting place. And so the effort goes down and cash flow becomes more predictable, and it becomes systemized. And then once it's systemized, you can automate it or hand it off to a teammate. And then you're able to coach and understand and refine, because even if you automate it, there's still bugs. You got to understand how it can be fixed. Or if you're handing it off to an agency, understand how to tell them and communicate that with them what needs to be fixed. So final. I don't change strategies anymore. Keyword anymore, as someone who's shiny object syndrome and had like 7 businesses at once. I pursue the same philosophical question on the exact same strategy that I picked. And I just keep sharpening my sword. One service or product, one client or avatar, one channel. That is it. Ads, DM stories, ads, DM stories. There's other ways, but like a 3-step, like an intro, a way to talk to them, and a way to warm them up, that they're most likely to see that's kind of like the simplified version of it. So you don't need to outsource to anything. You don't need to spend $10K on a new course. You have everything you need inside your business. And if you don't, you just need $5 a day ads and a particular kind of offer. It's not just $5 a day ads. Ads are a skill in its own, but you don't need a new plan. I think you just need to see more clearly and get your insights in order. So you can sharpen your sword. You can test what insights matter. You can eliminate the noise. You don't need like, oh my gosh, like GitHub. How many apps must be on GitHub right now? Whether it's the time of filming this video or whether it's a year in the future. Oh my gosh. Like there's too many like to choose from, and they're all built really great apps, but you're a special business snowflake and you need special business snowflake apps made. So that's why I'm making my own within ChatGPT, because I'm like, okay, it's free, and then I understand, and then I don't have to pay for any additional tech, and I get to make more money with less effort. Cool. Like that's cool for me. And then I get to make safer decisions and like more sound decisions because it's prioritized. Like I've trained, like not trained. let's call it like I gave it like a human brain. It's like if I were to take how I want to make decisions, I've made like that baked into like my ChatGPT plugins, apps, and operating software. And insights also let you stay in the game as things change. So what is it? 90% of startups fail before 5 years. And in the beauty industry, my history, 80% of new beauty businesses fail in the first year. 20% remain. So if you've made it to your second year, congratulations. Stay in the game. It's the length of time. I've fallen on my butt so many times. The elation despair cycle is real. Foundership is hard. And if your market has changed, which ours all are, this is one little thing I think is going to help you survive and thrive and go beyond, because you're carving out your own unique place with your own unique insights instead of outsourcing to whatever everybody else is doing. Everyone else is doing chatbots. I'm like, hey guys, manual in the DMs. And also, I actually had one client say, she's like, I still do my DMs manually too, because people are like, oh wow, this is not a bot. That's nice. People want to talk to humans. Some people want to talk to bots for certain things. Like if I want to buy a hard drive, I don't know, like that's fine. But if I want someone to tattoo my face, permanent makeup, not a real tattoo, not like a teardrop, I want to talk to a human. If I want a design of a tattoo, I want to talk to a human. If I want help shopping for something, I don't know, whatever, I want to talk to a human. So the core reframe of this video, this was not meant to be a hack. It's not a hack, but it's a way to use what's already inside your business or get that really quickly so you can stop guessing and stop overhauling and stop burning energy trying to prove that like you're good at this and that you can build stuff. And that's really great. Like you've probably built a lot of really cool shit like we all have. And it's so good for character building and knowledge and skill gain. But cash flow, if it's risking the cash flow, it's not a decision that should be done right now. There's like really good ideas, but some of them are long-term strategies like SEO or website or I don't know, things that cost a lot of money when you don't have a lot of money. And you don't need to know exactly what you're doing, which is great. You don't need to know because your insights start guiding you on where to go. I was looking for a mentor. I was looking for someone who could point me in the right direction because I was ready to go. I just didn't know what to do. My business is telling me what to do. No. The people in my inbox are telling me where to go, what to do. And so you just need better information. You need to reduce the risk of your business, not spend X number amount on like trying to offload the work. If you're burnt out and tired, I get it. It's going to be more work. It's still more work. That's what business is. Harsh truth. But you need to choose correctly with the move you're going to make in order to conserve your energy so that way you don't keep burning yourself out. We've been overbuilding and building and building and building and trying and spinning our wheels and getting stuck or in a worse position than we were before, or having some success and then falling on our ass again. So that's what this solves. So we want to stay the course. Sticking for one thing long enough makes you really good at it. That's how you got really good at whatever your service or product is that you do. You kept spending time on it, developing it. Like maybe your business isn't as good as your product right now because you've spent more time on your product than your business. It's still good to spend time on your product, but still. But if we can use real and cheap and fast and rich insights to make small, low effort and high return on investment decisions. By the way, I like getting like a 20 times ROAS on my ads, not like a 6. 6 is still scalable, meaning like spend $1, get 6, but I'd rather spend $1 and get 14 to 20 to 30 to 40 and that's what I'm talking about. This does. Like if you can, like you can win so hard, like you don't need to spend more. It's like growing the back end, I guess, but that will give you stable and growing cash flow that later then you can systemize, automate, train an employee, bring on somebody because you already have enough certainty that this works. So you can't eliminate all uncertainty. I just want to say that again. But you can eliminate the blind decisions and the guessing. You can make your gut decisions better informed with the insights too. So I'm not against gut instincts, but the founders who last, from my observations, they're not the ones with better tactics and like year-long marketing strategies. Often like a business plan is obsolete within like a month. Like I couldn't even plan like a week ahead. But the ones who last, they're the ones who learn how to see what's already happening in the present day with all the moving pieces around us and make these small low effort adjustment.